what do we think of the announcements? I mean, Chris Metzen coming on and saying all that stuff he said was, it was, yeah, I was crying. I was crying. It was great. It wasn't great. It was mentally exhausting. And, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it's about time. I've been trying to tell you guys about these Titans for years, man. I've been trying to tell you guys for years, bro. Are you gonna listen now? Are you guys gonna start? Are you gonna listen now? Fuck. Had to get Metzen out back on the stage and tell you, bro. Shit. No, I mean, it's cool. It's cool. Feels good. Obviously. Couple BlizzCons in a row now that have been, in a sense, vindicating for me. In other ways, not so much. It really does feel like he's kind of wrangled a scatterbrained storyline back on track. You considering playing the expansion or gonna wait and see? I mean, after what they revealed today, I think I'm back, dude. I mean, if this is what they're gonna do, I mean, you really expect me to not do it? I mean, there's just no, I mean, if they're gonna go that route, I mean, and that's what all my videos are about. Like, that's what they're all about. I mean, is this story arc. All of it. Like, the Worldsoul, the Titans, I mean, it's literally like all of it. The only thing is this, is that the gameplay of the game still is kind of like meh to me, so I'm hoping that this, these hero talent things really change make the game feel more interesting and fun to play. Not that it's not fun to play, and there's things that when I play World of Warcraft, I'm like, damn. Like, I wish I could slide cast, but then I'm like, do I really though? Like, do I really care about that? So I think that's the key, is that like the narrative can be awesome, but the game still has to be fun for me to play. So if that means that I just learn about the lore and then, you know, talk about it in videos here or there, then that's what it'll be, and you just have to be fine with that, right? But I mean, yeah, I'm pretty interested in it. And yeah, the thing is that they don't deliver, you know, it's a 3 expansion thing. How long are these expansions gonna be? You know, are these gonna be the same size as normal expansions? Probably not. I think Chris Metzen said that the rate that we would get them was gonna be faster. I think that's kind of what he was saying. So it sounds like it's not going to be like on a normal expansion cycle, obviously. So I mean, like, we could be going to the Worldsoul of Azeroth within the next 3 years, and that's pretty crazy. Because I think that this is frankly where it was supposed to go after Legion, but I think BFA and Shadowlands were a thing. So yeah, and there's some good stuff to come out of there, but I am interested in you know, learning what's going to happen at the end of this current expansion. I am level 70, but I am at the end of Honoron Plains because it's well, I got to level 70, and then I got bored, because the story was not really gripping me, which is, people told me I quit right before it starts to get to good stuff. So that's kind of a shame, but at least I know that. That the Azure Span is really good. You think there's a possibility for reset after last Titan expansion? I don't believe in coincidences, and this 3 expansions blew my mind. I'm really intrigued. I think that re-origination is a very possible thing. I think that Azeroth is the goddess of creation, and is basically the conduit of creation for the universe. And I think that at this point, I'm not sure if we survive the awakening. Like, kind of thinking that maybe that is the reset. And maybe something happens after that fact. But I definitely think that re-origination being a thing in the game, you know, as a mechanic in the lore is, you know, pretty important. I must be honest, this Hear Me female voice just gives me FF vibes. Don't know what to expect from expansion. Guys, do you know how many games have done the pretty talking crystal thing? Like this isn't even like a fucking, this isn't unique to Final Fantasy. Like this shit, like these are things that exist in other games. Like they're such like, they're not necessarily like unique. And that's why they're predictable. That's like, it's part of why I was telling you guys about the Titans and stuff, because there's things about it that are kind of predictable. I don't know. Azeroth has been female long before Heidelin, guys. Chill. Yeah, she's been trying to talk to us for a long time as well. It's like, I get that your brain... So look, here's the deal. Your brain is naturally going to find correlation. It's what it does, okay? Mine does the same thing, right? It's how I make YouTube and lore videos, right? You find a thing, you find a theme, you notice a correlation, you can draw a potential theory from that. That's how it works, right? So there's nothing wrong with people noticing the similarities. But don't let a perceived similarity, like, make you think that it's like one thing is like copying another thing, because when you guys say that, that is the implication. At least from my perspective, when you're saying this, that's the implication. But maybe I'm wrong. If that's not the implication, then my bad. It's like there's some vague similarities. Like if you ever hear a female voice coming from inside a planet, like what, it's Heidelin now forever, like you guys realize, like I'm pretty sure World of Warcraft like did that first. So don't forget that like Azeroth and her sentience and her being at the core of our world and like the mother of our world and all that stuff is older than Final Fantasy XIV. Gaia as a concept going all the way back. If you really want to get into the mythological inspirations, if you really want to do that. But I'm just trying to explain that like this, there's been multiple comparisons to 14 on the stream today, and I'm just trying to address that specifically. Because like, yeah, you're gonna notice things, and you're not in the wrong for noticing things. But I don't really think that they're similar. The narrative of 14 is not similar to World of Warcraft. They have some themes that like grand overarching themes that you find in all fantasy, especially light versus dark fantasy, that both of these games existed in, at least for a long time. So thematic similarities are going to exist. But it's exciting to hear potentially Azeroth's voice. I mean, that's crazy. Gaia is literally the mother of Titans. Yeah. I think Azeroth, like I've said before, she's creation. She's creation. She's the conduit of creation. She's the center of the universe. She's the creator. And the conflict between Sargeras and the Titans has not been about old gods and void lords. Let me tell you that right now. No. It's been about Azeroth the whole time. Tell you right now. It's the first time she's ever had a voice. I know. That's never happened before. And so this is occurring after the events of 10.3 and Firak and the Dream, or 10.2 and Firak 10.27, all that bullshit, whatever it is coming. The Guardians of the Dream, Firak and all that stuff, like we were talking about earlier, probably will have some type of profound effect on the Dream. And if that damage to the Dream loosens things and allows her to communicate with us, then that just it just further confirms like what the Dream is. That it's a mechanism for imprisonment is what it is. And that it's been an instrument to keep her silent, to not be able to talk, to not be able to get out. It's the point. And again, I think that's what makes Sargeras so afraid and so angry, is the realization of that fact. Of realizing that it was these motherfuckers that did it. That they are the ones that set this shit up. What is this Void Lord bullshit? That's a lie made up by Dreadlords to scare Sargeras, allegedly. It's like, come on now. It ain't no Void Lord shit. You notice how in any of the shit they showed, they didn't mention a Void Lord once? Not even one time. No one mentions the Void Lords. Not even the fucking old gods. They don't even talk about the Void Lords, and they're apparently servants of the Void Lords. So what kind of bullshit is that? It's bullshit. Isn't Dementius a Void Lord? He got a name drop recently? Yeah. And my Warlock summons Void Lords too. Yeah. So fucking what? The premise of what the Void Lords are, I'm not saying Void Lords aren't real. Let me clarify. Void Lords are real, but what we were led to believe about them is not real. It's not true. No pun intended when I say it's not real, because it exists outside of reality. That is to say that the Void Lords are essentially a scapegoat. You say a scapegoat, I guess. They're a Trojan horse for the truth. That's how I'll put it. The Void Lords are a Trojan horse for the truth. And the truth is that it's not the Void Lords, it's something way worse. Something with a lot more reason, a lot more emotion behind it. We were told that the Void Lords did all of this stuff out of envy of the Titan's ability to create. Bull fucking shit, dude. I'm sorry, but there's just so much evidence that suggests that that's not the case. There's so much evidence that suggests that the Void Lords don't even want to exist in our reality. So I'm very curious about the second part, Midnight. The part about the Void trying to come. I'm very curious what that's going to entail, what that's going to mean. And I wonder if they're going to keep the old god and the void stuff connected together, or if they're going to draw a line in the sand between what is void and what is an old god actually. Like, what even the fuck is that? Is it alive? Is it life? Like, what is it? Is it a corrupted form of life that got out of control? That like, I don't know. It's just this whole thing about the Void Lords creating old gods and doing this stuff. I don't know about that, dude. Fat chance. Especially when you look at the old lore that I showed you guys earlier. Remember what I was showing you guys that, that old RPG lore says that Sargeras believed that the Titans' ordering of the cosmos was like flawed, and that there was something that they were actually they were the reason why the demons were even corrupted in the first place. For the corrupted nature of the demons, that's what they said, that they were literally responsible for it. So I don't know. The corrupted nature of old gods, I think, is what that alludes to. I think it's been expanded from demons to old gods. Like, old gods weren't really mentioned nearly in the capacity that they are now back in that old lore. And I just think that, maybe there's a possibility for them to define in a better light, like, what the fuck an old god is. What actually is it? And why are they so cryptic? And why do they give us these clues and hints? And what's their end goal, really? Like, what? I don't know. And like Chris Metzen said, there's a conspiracy theory, obviously. The last Titan expansion is going to be exactly what you've been saying about the Titans for years. We'll see. We'll see. Oh no, Meteon flew over to Azeroth after she disappeared into the direction of the Crystal Tower as Endsinger 2.0 death. It's funny how they mentioned alchemy, how Xal'atath is using it. This could be because the old gods are failures of alchemy. Could be. Send a Discord on DM. Blizzard did the Overwatch redesign to Illyria. Yeah, I think she looks pretty cool, to be honest. Also, yeah, the current description of Shadow Priest, which makes mention and separates the powers here, uses sinister shadow magic and terrifying void magic to eradicate enemies, which is peculiar because Chronicle cosmology map. The Titan perspective Chronicle map is interesting and has a flaw in it in that, wow, that is really tiny. That's not what I meant. Thanks, Polygon, for making your fucking shit unclickable. So, check this out. This is the cosmology chart from Chronicle Volume 1, 2, and 3. And in this, there's a flaw, okay? Every single tier has 3. Wild God's Nature, Life, Naru, Holy Light, Burning Legion, Fell, Disorder, okay? Explain to me why Shadow has 4. Old Gods, the Void Lords, Shadow/Void, Shadow. What the fuck is going on here? What is with this fucked up distinction here? This does not make any sense, okay? It's also the only section that has 2 different entities responsible for the actions of said force, i.e. the Old Gods and the Void Lords, where over here it's Undead, it's the Burning Legion, it's Wild Gods, it's the Naru, right? You have 2 influencing forces here, which is very curious. These things don't go together. That's what I think. I don't think the Old Gods want to be in the void. I don't think that this whole thing is supposed to even be like this at all. I think that this is flawed. Inherently, there's something wrong here, and I think that there's a reason why shadow and void are identified separately from one another, because they're not the same. Death is more aligned with shadow, and a void is not, in my opinion. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It doesn't really make sense here. The Void Lords and the Old Gods thing doesn't really make sense here. It's interesting as fuck, by the way, because back in the day, I speculated that I thought that these hands on the cosmology chart looked like kind of scary Dreadlord demon hands. And it turns out that the Dreadlords actually lied to Sargeras, or, you know, that's what they say, lied to Sargeras using the foil of the supposed power of the Void Lords in their will to corrupt the stars of the universe and titans and all this bullshit. It's not true. I just don't think it's true. So, essentially, I think we're due to find out something about the Old Gods, that they are not what we think they are. I don't think they're the same thing. They're not, let me just say this. I think that they were once living beings, and that they used to be not so fucked up like they are now. I saw a reaction to the whole thing. I found it very humbling, and I really saw the passion for why I've missed for so long from you. I hope you'll return to the next expansion and continue the best. Thanks. Thanks, Fabs. I appreciate that. You can see all the void planets from the seat of the Pantheon just casually chilling there. Well, and here's the thing, Lumino. I actually realized, I don't know if you were here when I was speculating about this, but Star Augur Atreus actually exposed that the false sky on Azeroth is true. I mean, it's a real thing. Fucking Wowhead. Give me Wowpedia. They give the quotes. They give the quotes. He says, the Burning Legion is entirely focused on the task at hand. They need someone with my vision to guide their future. So many worlds must be out there needing to be purged. Who better than me to locate them? Then he goes on to say, such insolence, very well, I shall show you. See for yourself the cruel frozen void that lies beyond the margin of Azeroth's skies. And he changes the skies and you see this frozen planet there, and it's like scary and ominous, right? And then it continues and he says, the Burning Legion, slayers of whole worlds, could we hope to resist? Can you? And then he says, is that not enough? Must I show you the true horror of our reality? Very well, witness what I have seen and tremble. And he shows you, Old God Planet, wow. He shows you that off the edge of the platform, right? This is what you see. Now, I've pulled this art before, and I've pointed out that these are not Old God tentacles. They aren't. They're tree roots. They're large, overgrown, splitting tree roots, behaving in such a way that we have literally never seen Old Gods behave, because they don't branch roots like this. But the way that it's portrayed sure makes you look and think, oh, Old God. But here's the thing. It's corrupted life is what it is. And from the seat of the Pantheon, you can actually look down from the seat and in the sky, very clearly see these corrupted planets, right? So this is what's fucked up. Star Augur Atreus, using the power of the Eye of Aman'Thul, World of Warcraft World Map Original, looking through the power of the Eye of Aman'Thul and using the power of the Nightwell, he's peering through the veil. He's peering through the fake sky, and he's seeing, I can't find it here, World of Warcraft World Map, or maybe Planet Map is what I'm looking for. The veil, which, oh, I saw it right there, which, oh, this is interesting. This is the OG, yeah. The veil, which I posit was placed there by Aman'Thul, and in the original art, and in the updated art later on down the line, there's a veil around Azeroth, and Aman'Thul is present above it. So, essentially, Star Augur is peering through and seeing what's really there. Now, here's the truth. The Titan Pantheon, from the Titan Pantheon, you can see these worlds. From the Titan Pantheon, you can see these worlds. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Who else could see these worlds then? Who else knew they were there? Who else could see them the whole fucking time? Probably Sargeras and probably the other Titans. All knew that these were here. And we did not, because it's been hidden from us. We didn't even know that it was there. So here's the thing. It's not that the Titans couldn't cleanse these worlds. No, 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 no. The Titans are responsible for them. It's their fault why they're corrupted. That's what I've been trying to say for a long, long time. This isn't the result. This is not the actions of Void Lords as we were led to believe in Chronicle. It's not true. It's a lie. This is what happens when the Titans get to do things on worlds and life gets out of control and takes over and nothing else remains. This is what Agramar was afraid was going to happen to Draenor. It's exactly what he was afraid of. That the spore mound would grow so large that it would consume all life on the planet until nothing but a spore mound remained, and that would be it. Until it would then twist inward upon itself, becoming necrotic, which sounds to me like an old god. I'm just telling you, the coincidental Aman'Thul ripping a tree out of the planet and that being coinciding during the same timeline as him allegedly ripping Yasharaj out of the planet, that's not a coincidence. Them having these tentacles and all this shit, and these trees having these literal fucking roots, and the world trees on our planet sticking their roots way down in our world, not a good thing. If anything, man, it seems like the old gods are learned how to try to corrupt or do whatever it is that they're trying to do from something else. I wonder who could possibly be responsible for life getting out of control and becoming necrotic, horrific amalgamations. I wonder who possibly could ever be responsible for something like that. I have absolutely no idea who ever would do something like that. It seems so evil. Why would anyone do that? No. It's this bitch. It's been this bitch. You know why? Because life is out of control. And that's the basis of the story. If the old gods were once life, it only makes sense they'd be programmed to do survive and spread. What they don't do is they don't corrupt, bro. Let me tell you this right now. Azeroth is not corrupted by the old gods. I want to tell you right now, I think it might be impossible. It might be impossible. If Azeroth is radiance, like holy fire, I don't even know if you can corrupt that. Anything that goes into it just gets evaporated. Like, it's just general reminder to check those lore books. Yeah. Let me get into that. What's that around her arms? Oh yeah, those coils. Those coiling vines and like her creepy crown that I don't like. Yeah, bro, I'm telling you, she might be hot, but she's also very strong. Let me tell you this right now. She's not weak. She's not weak. This entity right here, I'm gonna tell you this right now, chat. Weakness is subjective, okay? The weakness is subjective. And let me tell you, this one right here is not weak. She's very cunning. Very cunning. And very scary. And they depict her as being very strong. I mean, look at her. So the Cosmo chart just wrong then, question mark? Aren't all Titans arcane aligned? No. No. Yeah, ANR has nothing to do with life. Yeah. That's basically what you're saying. No, that's not the case. That's like saying Sargeras has nothing to do with fire or demons because he's a Titan, so he's arcane. It's like, come on. Nah, I don't think so. Khaz'goroth uses fire and forging. He's still arcane. Doesn't mean they can't have other powers, right? So that's kind of how I see ANR. She's got the power of life, and let me tell you, life finds a way. Life is cruel and calculated, and life is very chaotic, by the way. Life is not orderly. In fact, you want to know what's way more orderly than life? Here, I'll help you. It's death, okay? Which is actually hilarious. Because in this universe, order versus chaos is like a big theme. So when you think about the fact that death is actually far more orderly than life, I think that's actually really fascinating because life is chaotic. I mean, it's out of control. It'll do whatever it has to do to keep surviving, period. Like, just the way it goes. So again, she's very strong, very strong. Chronicle books are just a waste of time. They retcon everything. Guys, that's not true. I guess I'm gonna have to make a video talking about what Chronicle is now because that's not true. Guys, this perspective that Chronicle is now completely useless and irrelevant is incorrect. Chronicle is now more relevant than ever, but people just are pessimistic, and so they don't realize what's in front of them. Here, let me help you. Now that you know that Chronicle is written from a biased perspective, which it always was, by the way, it's not a retcon, it always was written that way, you should go read it and realize, it will help you realize the biases that exist there. It'll help you realize the themes that are happening. If anything, it's more important now that you know it's written from a perspective, because now you can hone in on what that perspective is, and knowing how they view it helps you understand what they're going to try to do. It's not irrelevant. It's very important. Yeah, the Shadowlands book is the one that's pretty useless, if anything. I actually agree. I think the Grimoire of the Shadowlands is more useless than Chronicle. Totally agree. I think the Grimoire of the Shadowlands is a huge cash grab, and it's one of the biggest book cash grabs that they ever did, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, the victors write history doesn't mean that their history is true. Exactly. They've written down what they want people to believe. I mean, look, I'm not trying to get grim, but like, imagine if the Axis forces of World War II had been successful. The way that the world looks at that history would be different. It's just the way that it goes. It's not necessarily a good thing, you know, obviously, but it's just, you have to think about, like, things would be different if someone else had, you know, been successful, right? So that's the only point I'm trying to make. We're so lucky the good guys won every war. Yeah, no shit, right? Yeah, only good guys have ever won the wars. Yeah, let's keep telling ourselves that, too. Yeah, I don't know about that, but... Could it be all the Titans were just arcane, but then were corrupted by another element? Nah, I don't... Guys, look, here's the thing. This corruption thing is a bullshit term. It is such a bullshit term. Let me ask you something. If a being is a void being, is it corrupted? If a demon is a demon, is it corrupted? If a human is a human, are they corrupted? Corruption is kind of a bullshit term to describe something that we are supposed to think of as evil. To say that something is corrupted implies that it is not meant to be that way. That something like... And I don't believe that. I don't see it that way. I think the Titans are supposed to be aligned, elementally aligned to different things. Aman'Thul as time, Norgannon as space, Aenar as life, Argus as death, perhaps, whatever the fuck that thing was. Maybe Sargeras as death, who fucking knows? You know, Sargeras as chaos, whatever that might be. You know, Golganeth is, you know, one thing, Khazgroth, like, I can go through all of them if you really want me to, but I think that them having elemental affinities is, like, in their nature. I don't, and no pun intended, I don't think that they were corrupted to become that way. Like, I think that it's just the way they are. Like, I think it's just the way they are. I don't know. Like, they're gods. They're gods. They have powers. They have god powers. And now here's the consideration. If their powers did come from somewhere else, where do you think they came from? Here, let me give you a hint. Azeroth. So I think it all boils down to the same thing anyway. Like, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, because if their powers came from somewhere else, it came from Azeroth, in my opinion, because I think she's like the source of magic, like source of creation type shit. Yeah, Chamber Kill. Yeah, it does look like Fel, doesn't it? Yeah, I've long pondered the purpose of the demonic burning legion and their inability to find Aenar, I think, is fascinating. And let's just say, I bet you Aenar could do Fel magic if she wanted to. I know that sounds crazy, but I bet she actually could. She's really chaotic. She's really powerful. You basically draw the life out of something to fuel a chaotic, destructive spell. It would not blow my mind if this bitch actually knew how to use Fel, but that's a long shot. But anyway, she's the only one who was never captured. Very true. She was not captured by the demonic burning legion, and that's very curious that never occurred. In fact, she breached their sanctuary. Remember, we were going through Antor's the Burning Throne, and Magni's like, "Oh, I hear a familiar voice calling out to me. Well, it sounds like Aenar, the Lifebinder." And then we went through, and sure enough, it was her. She had opened a gateway into Antorus. So she had the power to bridge Elunaria to Antorus. That's fucking... That's crazy. How was her voice familiar? And I'm just going to say this, by the way, that as much as I want to believe that that voice calling out is Azeroth, and I want it to be, and it makes sense based on what they're showing, I always have this subtle twinge in the back of my brain that's like, just remember, ANR called out as well, and we didn't know who she was until we were standing in front of her. So like, you got to be careful, because when Anduin says, who is it? Who's calling to us? And Thrall says, I'm not sure yet. That's an interesting, I think that's interesting choice of words, because I think it leaves open the possibility for it to not be Azeroth and it's someone else calling to them. But I think based on the imagery, I think it's more likely to be Azeroth. You have such a hate boner for ANR? I mean, yeah, that's what happens when you study the lore for hundreds of hours and notice negative trends in her actions, in her disciples' actions, in their involvement in the world, and how life has defied death unnaturally many, many times. Yeah, it's alarming. Yeah, it's pretty scary that the goddess of life and her friends have now imprisoned potentially the only guy in the universe who was actually trying to help Azeroth wake up. So yeah, I mean, I would be scared. We should hate her. She's literally wearing a crown. Aman'Thul isn't. Yeah, oh yeah, she's... I love you guys. You guys are great. I genuinely mean that, because it's just, yeah. You know how I feel about it.